Hey everyone. Today is July 22nd, 2025, and there's some fresh financial news just out that could move Nasdaq futures. Let's unpack it. Clear, simple, and quick. Fed Chair Jerome Powell is set to speak this morning at the Integrated Review of the Capital Framework Conference. Markets are listening for any hint on whether interest rates will stay pat or whether cuts could be on the horizon. Even a small shift in Fed tone can cause Nasdaq futures to jump or dive. Big tech movers overnight. Earlier, Nasdaq heavy stocks saw mixed action. Alphabet rose 2.7%, marking 9 straight days of gains. Netflix bounced about 2% after post-earnings dips. Robinhood slid nearly 5% after missing out on S&P 500 inclusion. These heavyweights often dictate futures moves, so pay attention. If their trend continues into US hours, futures could follow suit. Final take, before we move on to some technical analysis. For beginners and pros, new to this, watch how Powell's tone affects futures. Hawkish, futures dip. Dovish, futures rise. For experienced viewers, track how Alphabet and Netflix held or slipped pre-market. They often set the mood for the Nasdaq. Starting with the 5-minute chart, you'll notice we had a solid bounce off the pre-market low just around the $23,206 area. This zone also aligns closely with yesterday's low, marked on our chart at $23,252. Strong reaction here. Price popped back up toward the VWAP, that's the red line on the chart, but has since rejected and failed to hold above it. Right now, VWAP is acting as a dynamic resistance level around 23,317, and price is struggling to reclaim that level. We're now consolidating between the intraday support at 23,270 and resistance near 23,300 to 23,320, forming a potential bear flag. If price breaks below the PML at 23,262, we could retest the previous day's low. Zooming out to the 15-minute time frame, you can see the selling pressure that came in after that big pop yesterday. A sharp reversal and lower highs since then point to weakening momentum. The bounce earlier today didn't get past the lower high at around 23,350, and we've been stair-stepping down since. The VWAP here too is overhead, and we haven't reclaimed that for bullish confirmation. If the bulls want to step back in, they'll need to flip 23,320 into support. Otherwise, the path of least resistance still looks downward. On the 1-minute chart, we can see more detail in the micro price action. The bulls did attempt a recovery rally after 6 AM with a push up to 23,296, but failed to hold and rolled over again. Volume has been decreasing on the push-up attempts, and the EMA continues to suppress price. This adds confluence to a bearish short-term bias heading into the next few hours. Looking at the RSI on the 5-minute, we're hovering around 45, which is weak and suggests the bears are still in control. MESHD also printed a bearish crossover recently, with the histogram flipping red and both lines below the zero line. That supports the idea of fading strength. Going into the new session, keep your eyes on 2 key levels. First, support around 23,252 to 23,260. That's yesterday's low and today's pivot point. And second, resistance at 23,320 to 23,340, where we also have the VWAP and prior consolidation breakdown. If bulls can reclaim VWAP with volume, we might see a reversal. Otherwise, expect lower prices. That's your quick and actionable technical breakdown and news for Nasdaq futures. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment on what you're watching in today's market. Trade smart, and I'll catch you in the next one.